The Harry with whom I've spent 30 years turned out to be cheating all along. Despite presenting evidence of his infidelity, he remained unapologetic.
I won't pay any alimony or child support. You're the one leaving on your own, right?
He declared that, but I just accepted the demand as it is. I had a secret I hadn't told my Harry about. My name is Natalie. I've been married to my Harry for 30 years, and our 2 children are already in high school. In his younger days, Harry was heavily focused on work, and there are hardly any memories of the children spending time with their father. Back then, it was common for men to have minimal involvement in childcare, so after giving birth, I quit my job and took on the responsibility of raising the children on my own. Since both my parents had passed away before our marriage, there was no one to rely on. Harry professes that he is better than me, a housewife, because he has earned money outside the home.
You're lucky to be able to stay home and play with your kids for a living.
And he always said that. On days off, Harry would spend the entire day lounging at home, not taking the kids to the park or doing anything. I, on the other hand, continued to manage household chores and childcare without a break. When he returned from work and found the house messy or dinner not prepared, he would get angry, like a raging fire, so I was always on edge. Even when our eldest son, Zayden, had a fever, Harry maintained his stance that child rearing is the mother's job and didn't offer any help. As a result, I had to take Zayden with our young daughter Lisa in tow to the hospital. Seeing their father's indifferent attitude, the children began to resent him, entering a phase of rebellion where they wouldn't even talk to him.
Dad is always focused on work and shows no interest in us at all. Moreover, Mom's words are always directed at him, and it's irritating.
The children began to ignore their father, saying so. Given Harry's already thin affection for the kids, they entered a phase of rebellion, where they barely spoke to their father. However, as the children entered high school, they moved past the rebellious phase, and there was at least some minimal conversation. Harry, who always seemed grumpy, recently appears to be in a good mood. Work is still super busy, and there are more times when he can't come home until morning due to work commitments, or when he's concerned about staying overnight during business trips. But even with all that, he somehow seems to be enjoying it, suggesting that his job is fulfilling. After Harry retired, we envisioned spending a peaceful retirement together. However, I realized my naive thoughts were shattered just a few months ago. While going through Harry's suit for dry cleaning, I found receipts indicating he had eaten at a restaurant for 2 on a date and had purchased items from a clearly female-oriented brand. Suspicious, I checked the credit card statement I had entrusted to Harry, and it showed payments for a stay at a spa on a date when he was supposed to be on a business trip. The results revealed one thing. Harry had been lying to me. The fulfillment he experienced wasn't from work, but rather from his private life. The recent good mood was likely due to his enjoyment of an intentional affair. I started monitoring Harry's actions from that point. Harry, oblivious to my awareness of his infidelity, was lax in managing his smartphone, making it easy to identify his affair. Harry's affair partner is a woman from a club he frequents. While she seemed uncomfortable with the older crowd inside the club, Harry oddly liked her a lot and would request her every time. Initially just a customer, their relationship extended beyond the club, and now they seemed to deepen their connection as if they were more than just acquaintances. After leaving the club, she now has a daytime part-time job. However, because she still lives a luxurious lifestyle like when she worked at the club, it's difficult to believe that her part-time job alone is enough to cover her expenses. Perhaps Harry is contributing to cover the shortfall. Not only did he give her money to live on, but he also bought brand name goods for her and took her on trips to spas and various other places on the pretense of business trips. As I investigated, I suddenly discovered that Harry was in the wrong. As the evidence of the affair became undeniable, I took action. When I confronted Harry with the collected receipts and credit card statements, he readily admitted his wrongdoing.
I need to take a break, since I'm tired from work. Isn't it okay since I'm providing for the family with a proper salary?
Saying this, Harry brazenly defended himself.
If you had created a home where I could relax properly, I wouldn't have to do things like this. You also have responsibilities, you know?
That's not a reason to betray our family.
If we're a family, you should have shown me more affection and care, shouldn't you? It's your fault, not having any charm, and the kids not being attached to me.
Faced with Harry, who insisted he was not at fault and tried to conclude the conversation with a single-minded attitude, I quickly grew disheartened. Why had I been devoted to someone like him without complaining? Living with Harry any longer was impossible. That's enough. I can't continue with you. Let's get a divorce. Upon hearing my words, Harry smirked.
So, it's come to this.
Harry continued confidently.
I intended to continue our married life. The divorce is your wish. So, I won't pay alimony or child support. If you're leaving, then leave on your own.
It seemed Harry wanted to divorce to start a new life with his affair partner. However, if I initiated the divorce, he could demand alimony and child support. So it was almost like I was the one to initiate the divorce. I even wondered if he left the receipts in his suit on purpose to make me aware of his affair. It was frustrating to go along with Harry's wishes, but not divorcing was not an option at this point. Breaking up with Harry was more urgent than fighting over money. Understood. I don't want a single cent.
Huh?
Harry seemed surprised at how easily I conceded, but he quickly became pleased.
I see. You're a reasonable person. Right, no need for property division, huh?
Harry apparently had no intention of sharing his property, including alimony and child support. He probably wanted all the money for his new life with his affair partner. The more I listened, the more absurd his arguments became. It made me foolish for enduring so many years with such a petty man. Fine.
To avoid any complaints later, let's sign a contract properly.
Sure, but I won't compromise on the kids' well-being. After the divorce, promise that nothing will change regarding my relationship with the children.
That's fine. It's better for the kids to be close to you than me. You won't hear from me, so don't worry. You, on the other hand, don't come crying later, saying you don't have enough money.
Harry easily gave up parental rights. As I expected, the children meant little to Harry. For us, though, their lives wouldn't be affected much by Harry's absence. With this, the divorce between Harry and me concluded, closing the chapter on our 30-year marriage. After being kicked out by Harry, the children and I moved to a centrally located, fully owned apartment. It was one of the properties my parents had left for me. Actually, my parents owned several apartments, and they transferred one of them into my name before they passed away. I didn't dare tell Harry about this because it was a long time ago, but even after I became a housewife, rental income from the apartment continued to come in. This allowed me to lead a comfortable life without relying on Harry for alimony and child support, and it covered the children's university tuition when the time came. Life after Harry was surprisingly trouble-free, even comfortable without having to cater to his moods. About a year after the divorce, Harry called unexpectedly.
Natalie, are you living in the apartment near the station now?
It seemed like Harry was inquiring about our current life. As a stay-at-home mom, Harry probably didn't expect that I could support 2 kids, and our comfortable lifestyle was beyond his assumptions.
That apartment is famous for its high rent, isn't it? Why would someone like you, a former stay-at-home mom, choose to live there? And you're living with the kids in a 3-bedroom apartment, right?
I wanted each person to have their own room, so I chose a 3-bedroom.
A 3-bedroom? How much is the rent?
It's not exactly about the rent. There happened to be a vacancy, so we decided to move there.
What do you mean?
I explained to Harry that this apartment itself was something my parents left for me, and is under my name. Hearing this, Harry erupted in anger like a raging fire.
What? You never mentioned any of this until now.
There wasn't a need to talk about it. I inherited it from my parents quite some time ago.
You own the condo itself, which means that all the residents' ridiculously high rents were paid to you. How much money comes in every month? Money earned after our separation is shared property of the marriage. Isn't it strange to keep it all to yourself?
You probably didn't notice, but I also supplemented our living expenses and educational costs with some of the rental income. So I just spent the rest of the money myself. If you're going to say that, the money you used to meet your affair partner should also be shared property, right?
Don't give me that nonsense. Just because I made some contributions doesn't mean there isn't a significant amount of savings. I have the right to receive a share in the property through asset division.
I sighed heavily in response. Do you remember what you said? You were the one who said you wouldn't request asset division. We even went ahead and signed a contract to avoid any future disputes.
At that time, I didn't expect you to have this much savings.
If it means my assets become my own and not shared with you, then that's preferable. Such a self-centered person. If it came to asset division, I would have declared it properly. But I'm glad it didn't come to that. To think I would give the money left by my parents to someone who betrayed our family? I can't accept that. I responded with amazement at Harry's pettiness. Nevertheless, I wonder why Harry chose now to contact me. As I was pondering, Harry spoke a little hesitantly.
Well, let bygones be bygones. I contacted you today because I have something to discuss.
As I expected, the discussion didn't seem promising. True to my expectations, Harry's consultation turned out to be a request for money. Despite remarrying his affair partner, the woman he married had a significant tendency to overspend, and it turned out she was drowning in debt from the time they were dating. Although I had suspected her extravagant spending when I looked into it, it seems the reality was even worse. Harry, unaware of the debt, had initially tried to repay it using his savings. However, due to various creditors, his savings were quickly depleted, and the debt kept piling up. In order to make a lump sum repayment, he heard a rumor that I was living in a luxury apartment and approached me to lend him money for the debt repayment. Of course, I rejected his request. Why should I lend money for the debt repayment of the woman who was once his affair partner? Moreover, considering Harry's history, it seemed unlikely that her spending habits would change, and I doubted I would ever see the money again. Then Harry says something outrageous.
Hey, isn't Zayden about to start working soon? Can't we at least take Zayden in over here?
Huh? I couldn't believe my ears. After treating my children so indifferently all this time, he suddenly wants to bring them back now?
I can't make ends meet with just my earnings. If you won't contribute anything, let Zayden help. Once Zayden starts working, we'll share his salary to cover my expenses.
Don't be silly. Are you going to let your precious words clean up the debts of your unfaithful partner?
I want Zayden to repay what I've invested in raising him all these years. At that time, both of us were wrong to hand over custody. Since we also have our daughter Lisa, it's common to give custody to one of us, right?
It's only natural not to give custody to a parent who cheated. Besides, your attitude of not paying alimony even after cheating is far from common. And even if hypothetically you were to have custody, I wouldn't need to pay child support as you did, right? Zayden is currently attending a private medical school. Can you afford his tuition? Harry hesitated for a moment, but then says something in response.
I'll use scholarships or anything else to make someone else pay for that.
In the end, it's really good that I didn't entrust the children to Harry. This man only thinks of himself. That's out of the question. After all, Zayden is already over 18 years old. Custody aside, Where and with whom one lives is the person's own decision.
Zayden might want to live with me since we're of the same gender, don't you think?
That's not possible.
Is it about money? Do you intend to buy the children with money, living in an expensive apartment and giving them an allowance?
That's not it. The children know perfectly well why you and I got divorced.
Did you tell the children? This is a matter between spouses, isn't it? Do you want to turn the children against me? To that extent?
I simply told them that we separated due to differences in values. It seems like they understood it that way. Even without me saying it, the children were well aware that you were having an affair.
Maybe that's just how you perceive it. Let me talk directly with Zayden. If we talk man to man, I'm sure someone will understand my feelings.
Stop it. Zayden said you're the worst kind of person, betraying the family. There is no way you can understand. Besides, as a condition of the divorce, I promised not to involve the children. By the way, calling like this is actually a breach of the agreement. If you insist any longer, I will charge you child support and alimony to date as a non-contractual divorce. When the term alimony came up, Harry became quiet and cut off the conversation, muttering excuses. Hopefully, this means he won't call again. It's really fortunate that Zayden and Lisa were not affected. Harry, who had been relying on money from me, found himself without support, making it impossible for him to repay his debts all at once. Due to accumulating debts, it seems that all the money Harry earned has been disappearing into interest payments. Moreover, the partner he's still with continues to squander money, and there's no sign of the situation improving. If anything, it seems to be getting worse. While I'm astonished at Harry's lack of financial judgment, I can't really say much, having spent 30 years in marriage with him. After that, the children and I continued to lead a peaceful life. There has been no contact from Harry since then, and we've been able to live comfortably. And currently...
Mom, are you ready?
Yes, I'm coming now. My son, Zayden, and daughter, Lisa, have each married, started their own families, and moved out. Blessed with grandchildren, I am now a grandmother to 4. Both Zayden and Lisa frequently come to visit, bringing their children, showing concern for me after they moved out and I was living alone. Today, we're on a family trip with Zayden's and Lisa's families, making a total of 9 of us. Perhaps the joy awaiting me in retirement is thanks to the decisive separation from Harry at that time. I heard through the grapevine that despite wanting to part ways with his current partner, Harry hasn't been able to due to the partner's clever reluctance. He lives only to pay his debts, with no happy time at all with his grandchildren. I feel sorry for him indeed, even though he deserved it. In a moment of mistake, happiness and misfortune can diverge so drastically.